program was brought to you by Gomorrah. Gomorrah. It'll be our secret.
All right, Wastelanders and Vault Dwellers, welcome back to the Fallout Lorecast, and this program is brought to you today by Gomorrah, and it will be our little secret. Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Tom or Robots, and I'm here, as usual, with my wonderful co-host, Neos Pandora.
Hello.
Or Lainey. Hello, Lainey.
Hello, I'm Lainey.
Welcome back. Hey, we're doing an episode together again.
Oh my god, it's about time.
Back together again. Finally back together, you and I, we've been apart, but you'll never keep us apart because we're together again. And I just wrote this song and I'm gonna make it to the end. Yeah, baby, baby, baby. I'm gonna form a boy band and I'm gonna write my own songs. And I just that's our first hit. It's called, get this, Back Together Again. That's the name of that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your brain.
It's a banger. It's a banger right there. So hey, how's things?
Hey, things are good.
Good. Hey,
Yeah.
so how's how do you feel about taking a little trip with me to New Vegas? What do you think? What do you think about that?
You know, I've heard good things. Mm-hmm. Why not? Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so we've been kind of wandering around the Wasteland. We've kind of been, gone up and down. Up and down and around the strip. But what do you say we head into the main strip? We kind of work our way in. We past the Protectrons and the what are they, those big robot guys with the funny faces and all that stuff. We get right on in there to the main strip, and I considered doing an episode about the house and the coming together of all the different gangs on the strip. But, we basically did that episode. I had Ken from the Chat of Fault 76 episode. We talked about Mr. House and his power over the strip and all of that stuff. So really, we covered that. So if you haven't listened to that episode, it was probably about a year and a half ago. Go back and listen to that one. It was a big, long episode. We covered that. Mr. House brought the gangs together from the Wasteland, gave them their own casinos on the strip, and said, hey, listen, everybody, you chill out, live by my laws, and we're all going to get together and live peacefully, and I'm going to give you power, I'm going to give you some protection, and you basically have your own little itty-bitty kingdoms in these little itty-bitty casinos, and this will be where you have control. So that's where we are. And now we're going to talk about the individual casinos and the gangs that lord over those little casino kingdoms, I guess you could call them. So what are we talking about today? Which one are we starting with?
All right, so we're starting with Gomorrah.
Gomorrah. Brought to you by Gomorrah. It'll be our little secret. So what's the deal with Gomorrah?
Well, I mean, there's many a deal, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So Gomorrah, obviously, you prefaced it. It's one of the functioning casinos in New Vegas on the strip that you can go into, and you can do things like gambling. But of course, there's a lot more going on than just that. So we're going to talk about, the details. And I want to start off
introducing
the Omertas. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yes.
And this is a gang. This is one of the gangs that Mr. House brought together, and he gave them Gomorrah, right? This is a very scary gang. This is a very ruthless gang. They're incredibly murderous. They take a lot of joy in kidnapping and killing people. And they have for a very long time, but we'll get into that more in a second.
Okay.
So,
all right. But they seem like they're all about fun because Big Sal says stuff like this. Oh wait, hold on. I gotta turn up my volume on this one. Hold on.
You play some games, have some fun.
Seems like such a nice guy. I mean, they seem like they're cool.
Oh yeah, play some games, have some fun.
What's wrong with
party
that?
Never killed nobody.
What's wrong with that?
So, I mean, obviously, you can imagine that a casino run by a gang might be a kind of wild place. And Gomorrah it really embodies this, right? And so this is
wait. Hold on. Let me interrupt you again. A place named Gomorrah is a wild place?
It's a bit crazy. There's
do you understand the word Gomorrah? Do you know where that comes from?
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about it later, but yes.
Okay, well, do we want to drop that now, just in case people are wondering?
Yeah, do you know what the word Omerta means?
Yeah, let's talk about word origins. I love word origins. Well, let's talk about Gomorrah first. Gomorrah is also the name of the character in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is interesting.
That's true, and not where this came from.
But that's also a reference to the origin of the word, which was the city is referenced in the Bible in Sodom and Gomorrah, which God deems both of those cities to be too sinful and decides to destroy them. So,
with sulfur and fire.
Well, sulfur and fire and bad things. These people are too sinful, mostly in the sense that they are too overtly sexual, and they need to be wiped from the earth. So thanks, God. Thanks for that. And so therefore, sins of the flesh. And that's the sense that you get with Gomorrah, especially with
that's what they're known for.
That's what they're known for. And when you look at the picture of, I shared it on social media, but the outside of the casino, you have the sexy ladies like on the mud flaps of like trucks, right?
Big neon sexy ladies.
Right. And they're like laying back with their like long legs kicked up kind of thing. Yeah, that's Gomorrah.
Yeah.
That's
Gomorrah. Well, and they employ sex workers, and it's like, well, it's not even like it's not even a secret operation.
Oh, no.
Like you go in and you know what you're going there for.
Absolutely. Yeah, you see the ladies walking around in their scantily clad leather outfits, and you go, oh, that's what this place is. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you walk around the strip and you overhear other people talking about Gomorrah, they talk about how the ladies there are the most attractive. They're the best ones.
Right. They have slightly more pixels than the other ladies in the game. It's an old game at this point, but so anyway, okay. So let's talk about Omertas.
Yeah. Okay.
Omertas,
So, well, do you know what it is?
Yes, but go ahead and fill us in.
Okay, so, well, my understanding is that it is it originated in southern Italy, which goes with the whole gang family running a place thing. You know, it's fun.
Right. And to stop you there real quick, the whole feeling of the gang family in this, of the Omertas is a very Italian mafia-esque kind of feeling.
And I'm going to get into that also.
So that's why the Italian word origin makes sense for this. Yes.
Yeah. So it's an oath of silence. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that it makes me think of like Fight Club, right? You don't talk about it.
Right.
And so the idea is that if you're an outsider to the Omertas, they're not going to tell you anything. And if you're an outside authority, right, they're not going to tell you anything. They want to run their own place. They want to have control over their own area. Leave them alone. You know, they've got their secrets.
Yeah, it's an oath of trust, basically. If you are on the inside, then you take this oath and you do not break the oath. And if you do, you die. That's it.
You get murdered. That's right.
You do not go against the family, basically. We're all family, right? Fast and Furious fans. Oh boy. All right.
Good one. All right. Tough crowd.
All right. So what happened before the Omertas ran Gomorrah?
So before they ran Gomorrah, they were a raider group known as the Slitherkin. And
the Slitherkin.
The Slitherkin.
That's a slimy name.
Yeah, well, you know that they got to be pretty skeevy, right?
Yeah.
And so these raiders, they were very scary. They were known to sneak up on unsuspecting wanderers, to kidnap, drug, and potentially murder them. And if they didn't murder them, they would enslave them.
Well, yeah.
So just a really fun time.
Pretty skeevy.
Fun and games, like you said.
Fun and games, just fun and games, everybody.
Fun and games. So they used to do this, and they had lots of slaves. And they were a pretty nomadic group. So they would settle in areas for a period of time. But when they ran out of places to pillage, essentially, they would move along. Right. And so the idea is that they would just keep moving around the wasteland until they found things that they needed. And then they would move to their next area until Mr. House finds them and offers them Gomorrah. Right. And so this is a pretty ruthless group. And they will do anything that they can to get what they want, truly anything. Their only rule is their oath of silence. and that they cannot attack each other. So it's a family, like you mentioned. You cannot attack each other. You cannot reveal your secrets, right? Everything stays within the family, and you're good to your family. You take care of each other, except for when your family is drugging you and keeping you there, which we'll get into.
Except for that one thing, but other than that,
except for this one thing,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So the casino and the group as a whole now, right? They're the Omertas, and they're led by Nero and Big Sal. So these are some fun guys. Big Sal is definitely a very kind of mafia sounding name. And they also have.
Well, here so I've got some other fun sound clips here. So this is what Nero sounds like, and Nero, here this is Nero.
I'm not sure if you're funny or just stupid, but I'm not amused. Make me a real offer and we can talk.
So Nero, again, word origins or name origins. Nero, clearly a reference to the Emperor Nero, the emperor who played his violin or his fiddle, depending on the origin of the word, while Rome burned. Was supposedly insane, but more recent evidence, and I read an article about this recently, was that he may not have been as insane as we think he was. He may have been a little bit more calculated in some of his decision making, but
so just evil?
Maybe. I mean, evil is always subjective when it comes to world leaders who do terrible things, because what world leader doesn't have to do terrible things? I'm not trying to make justifications.
You're condoning.
I'm not condoning terrible things, but it's hard to go back in historical times and pick a world leader that didn't kill many people.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to do that. But at the same time, there may have been some very specific reasons why he was doing what he was doing, not just for the sake of murder, not just like blind obsession with, destruction or, murdering people. There may have been some very specific reasons why he was doing what he's doing. But anyway, yeah. So the idea is that this character also in New Vegas may be doing some things for a very specific reason, not just because he was seeking, to see the world burn. And we'll get into that in a little bit, probably. So Nero, think Emperor Nero, think now we're thinking Roman, again, Italian, Roman. There's some connections here, right? So, and then you mentioned Big Saul. So we've got Big Saul.
The fuck is this shit? Casino, you dumb motherfucker. Yeah, we are going to have some words with Casino. Meet me in my office.
Now, I mean, this guy sounds very mafia. The voice actor they got for Big Saul is very, very mafia.
Well, and he mentions Casino, and that's basically their right-hand man. He's doing all the tasks that they don't want to carry out, right? He's doing all the things that they just order him around, and he does all the busy work so that they can do the things that are really fun and exciting, like killing people.
Yeah, the fun, exciting parts. And then this is what Casino sounds like.
You better get outside for a little bit. I'm sure they're going to look for the infamous courier when things go to hell.
Yeah, so these are the three main people that you interact with who are at least somewhat in charge, depending on which one you're talking to at the time. So, okay, so go on.
So these guys, I mean, I've mentioned before, these are pretty skeevy dudes. These are some real scummy people.
Yes.
And they do terrible things, as we've mentioned. And one of those that I teased was the drugs, and that could have been a joke about pretty much any raider group in Fallout where they drug people to keep them under their control. But that is also something that they do at Gomorrah, and they'll do it with their employees. So the sex workers, for example, they keep them docile and keep them working by drugging them. And what they do is they give them the drugs for free, right? At first, they warm them up. They make them very happy and addicted, and then they start charging them for the drugs. And on top of charging them for these drugs, oh, am I beeping?
It sounds like your apartment is backing up.
My apartment is backing up. Sorry, 1 second. Beep, beep.
Beep, 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 beep.
I don't know what that is or how to do anything about it. 1 second.
Okay. I'll go on about some stuff here. So one of the things that...
Wait. I mean, if it's okay, I can just continue.
Okay, just continue then. Go ahead.
Okay. So on top of charging them for more chems, right, now that they're addicted, they also lower the workers' wage over time. Without really telling them. They just lower them. So they're charging them for the addiction that they created, and then they're lowering what they pay overall.
It's like the way that the products we buy hide the fact that inflation is happening by just making the packaging smaller. Have you noticed this?
No.
Like cereal boxes, for example, get smaller and smaller over time, but they do it incrementally so you don't notice it.
Wow. Yes, it is like that.
Yeah. Or like bags of chips. They'll put just slightly less chips in the bag, but they'll keep the bag the same size. Yeah, so it eventually just becomes all air, but you don't really notice it over time until one day you just look at it and you're like, why is this thing only half full? And it's because there's just less chips in the bag. They changed the numbers. Like they put like, oh, this only has 1.6 ounces when it used to have 1.9 ounces. Yeah, that sort of thing happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a weird analogy, but...
It's a cruel world out there.
Just go with me.
Putting less chips in bags.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you end up working for, gangsters who run a casino. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's like every casino.
Are all casinos run by gangsters?
I mean, if you look back at the history of Las Vegas, a lot of them were. I mean, I can't say all of them were, but a lot of them were.
That was part of the appeal for Mr. House about particularly these guys, was that they reminded him of old Vegas. Right?
Classic Vegas.
Classic Vegas.
Yeah. Let's bring in the real gangsters and just have them run the casinos. Yeah. Yeah. So
these
go ahead.
Last thing, just
finish up what you're saying.
About these guys, just other things they do in running the casino. If you gamble and you owe them some money, right? You have a little bit of debt and you don't pay it back in a timely manner. What do you think they do?
They give you an extension and they just increase the percentage that you need to pay back on your loan.
That would be lovely.
Huh?
They kill you. Unsurprisingly.
They take it out of your hide.
Obviously, they kill you.
Got it.
Yeah. So these are some rough pals. These are some rough
skeevy dudes.
You can,
as Lady would say,
get on their good side. Some what?
Rough skeevy dudes.
Rough skeevy dudes. Indeed.
So how do you get on their good side?
Well, you help them out.
You do jobs for them.
You do, yeah. Well, because eventually they like you enough that if you start murdering people inside their casino, they don't care so much. They have a bunch of hired muscle, right? So the idea is that the whole place is guarded. Mm-hmm. And if you just go in and start shooting, right, you'll get murdered. Or
you just murder all of them. So in one of my playthroughs, I got to the casino and I knew that they're all just skeevy dudes. So I just marched right up to all the important guys and I just shot them all in the head. So that's literally, like once I had played through, like I think it was like 2 times, I realized that they were just like basically taking advantage of all their workers, especially all the women. And I was just like, all right, I'm not playing with these dudes. And I just walk in and they're like, hey, what are you doing, pal? They start doing their tough talk stuff. And I just was like, surrounded by all of them in the lobby area, like where you like all the, machines are and like the tables and everything. And there's a point at which you see like, I don't know, some of like the main guys all just kind of out there talking. I don't remember what specific, it's been a while. I'm thinking back 10 or 12 years at this point, but there's a point at which you kind of are there surrounded by some of the main guys. And I just, turned on VATS and was just like, hey, guess what? Headshot, 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 headshot. And then I just buffed myself up with a bunch of healing stuff and just killed all the guards and just played it really smart and then ran through the hotel and took out everybody who I could and then got up to where Nero was, killed Nero, and basically took out the whole hotel. Murdered everybody, and that was it. And I didn't do any of the side quests. I didn't do any of their stuff. I just murdered everybody. But
That's pretty funny. That's a good story. When I mentioned to one of my friends that I was talking about Gomorrah on this episode, they were like, wow, that's like the best casino for going in and shooting everyone. It's the first thing they said.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Did you know that if you shoot the cashier, right, who you have to give the chips to and you get chips from, they don't respawn. And so then you just destroyed the casino, essentially.
You just can't do anything.
You can't do it anymore.
Gambling. Yeah. So the other thing you find out, there's the quest line, How Little We Know, which is where you start to really understand what's going on with Nero. And you find out that and I don't want to spoil too much of it, so spoilers, but I'm not going to go into all the details.
Do you want to save the spoilers for after the middle of the show?
Sure, why don't we do that? So, yeah, we'll do that. So we'll be back in just a minute with spoiler talk and some other stuff.
Hello there, old chap. Good to see another of General Atomic's finest, still eager to serve.
All right, welcome to the middle of the show, and this is the part of the show where we get to thank our patrons for being freaking amazing. Lainey, how do you feel about our patrons?
Oh, I love them.
Like with your whole heart?
Like with at least 5%. No, definitely all of it.
At least 5% of my heart. But during the middle of the show, we get to thank, especially by name, our Tier 5 and higher patrons, which includes our Tier 6 patron, Liberty Prime Pieman. Pieman, thank you so much for supporting the show at Tier 6. When we set up Tier 6, we had no idea that anybody would ever support the show at Tier 6, but thank you so much, so very much for your support. And then also our Tier 5 patrons, Southern Rage and Stagger and Stumble, and of course all of our other 43 patrons. Thank you to every single one of you. Holy moly, we would love to hit 50 patrons, and maybe you can help us do that. If this show has helped you get through your workday, helped you on your commute to work, helped you on your workout, helped you with working in any other form or fashion. It's funny that all of those phrases have work in it. Helped you while cooking dinner or washing the dishes, whatever, then please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/FalloutLorecast, and you can get ad-free episodes of the show. You can join us on future episodes, including the patron chat episode, which will be we're going to do this on Tuesdays. We've been trying to figure out our schedule lately. Lainey, do you think we should still do this on a Tuesday for the patron chat? That's what we've been shooting for. So that would be on the 31st.
Whatever day works best for our patrons.
So that will be on the 31st. Tuesday the 31st is the last Tuesday night of this month of August. So the 31st. So two more Tuesdays from now. So you still got plenty of time to sign up if you'd like to join us and potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 patrons. And we could come up with a topic for the show. I always like to leave it open for you guys to pitch some topics if there's something specific you would like to discuss. And if nothing comes up, I had some thoughts. I can always turn it into a fun little game show, kind of like a little quiz show thing, and we can see who can win. So there's always other ways that we can do this, but let's stick with that date and see if you guys can't join us at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday the 31st. And if you'd like to join us, if it's something that you haven't done before, you'd like to be able to do that, then our Tier 4 patrons can all join us, and you can either upgrade your current patron status or you can just sign up. So again, patreon.com/FalloutLorecast, and thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are what help Lainey and I do this every week and make this a full-time thing for us. So thank you very, 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 absolutely very much. All right, let's get back to the show.
If you have any questions about Nuka World, I'd be delighted to answer them.
All right, here we go. So, as I was saying, there is a quest line called How Little We Know, where we get to actually know more about what's actually going on behind the scenes with the Omertas. And we find out, and again, spoilers, but I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details, that Nero isn't really being honest with everybody else in the Omertas, and he's actually working with the Legion in an effort to take over the Strip in order to oust House and take over. And you can be involved with that or not, of course, depending on your actions. So if you haven't played through that side of the game, then you may want to look into that because it could have some different outcomes depending on your decisions. So something to look into. It's not an ending that I've actually played through. Well, it's not really an ending of the game, but it's not a quest line that I've given much of a chance before. So might be worth checking out. And like I said, the Omertas are pretty scummy. Pretty sleazy.
All they want is control and power.
Right.
So of course they're going to try to overthrow the strip.
Usually I end up just shooting them in the heads, but hey, why not try that out? Yeah. And like we mentioned at the beginning, like Lainey was saying, they kind of do anything they can in order to get the things they want. So it makes sense that this might be something that they're willing to do. So the whole idea here is that they're going to help the Legion take control, and they would, as their reward, get the strip. Now, do you think the Legion would actually reward them with that in the long run? I don't really know. So, might be something worth trying out if you're playing the game. That's where I'm going to leave that for you guys to explore. So, Lainey, what else do we have to discuss for the rest of the show?
Yeah, we just got a couple things I think that'll really fill out your ideas of Gomorrah if you haven't played the game.
Your ideas of Gomorrah.
Let's talk about the Omertas again for a second. In terms of dealing with other groups other than the Legion, right, in the Wastes, and this is particularly for the NCR, but this applies to almost every group except for the Great Khans. They just try to avoid them, right? They want to stay out of the way because any other major group in the Wasteland is a threat to their venture, their mission to obtain power and control.
Sure.
So if they're messing with the NCR, it's likely the NCR might try to step on their toes, right?
Oh yeah.
And so they have to try to stay under wraps a little bit. Operation, yes, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Sixer. So for the most part, the Omertas want to be on their own. They do not want anyone to bother them, except I mentioned for the Great Khans, but this was a long time ago. So when Mr. House first brought together the three gangs that make up the casinos that now take control over these casinos on the strip, they had to clear the area first to start renovating these casinos and making them useful again. Useful? What is it? To utilize them again.
Yeah.
Usable.
Sure.
Like throw in. I'm a thesaurus at this point. I'm just throwing words out. So in order to clear the area, they had to get Great Khans out of the area. And so working together, they were able to remove them by attacking them, of course. They removed them from the area and then pushed them out to the northeast, where in the game, that's where some of the Great Khans are located. And so they stayed there permanently. And so it's interesting to think of how, before the events of the game, how the different groups have moved each other around. You see a little bit of that in 76. I remember when we were talking about the different gangs, how sometimes they migrate from different areas, sometimes they try to take over whole areas of the map, right? But depending on what other groups are doing, it encroaches on their space.
Right. Yeah. In the designing of the game, the actual physical space of the game is very well thought out, whether it's in New Vegas or Fallout 76, as to in geographical terms, how groups migrated and where they would have needed to be or had moved in reference to the movements of other groups and what that would have caused. This group took over this area, and so therefore this other group would have moved here, and so they would have claimed this land or this location, but then this group would have moved here and claimed this, which would have pushed this other group over here. So you would have still had remnants of this group here, but then they would no longer have been there, so they would have moved here. So which is why you find just like you do in real life, stacks of history on top of history in some locations. You'll find like a reference to something in a place that no longer has that group there sometimes. So yes. Well said.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to go over what it's like if you were to walk on in to Gomorrah. What are you going to experience, right? And so first off, when you walk through the door, just like any of the other casinos, you have to leave your weapons behind. You can't take them with you. They will not allow you to carry them inside. But if you are if you're sneaky about it, you might be able to get a couple in.
That's right. Yeah. And this requires the right stats to do, but you can small weapons, I believe, you can hide.
Yeah, so you can't go bringing like a machine gun in.
Right.
But maybe like a knife of some sort, maybe something else.
A pistol, I believe you could bring a pistol, if you could hide it.
So you have to leave your weapons behind, and then you walk on in. And in terms of ambiance, you would come across all sorts of different kinds of people. This is the only casino on the strip that accepts ghouls. They employ ghouls both as bartenders and sex workers, and then additionally, they allow ghouls to come in and have fun, which is not something that anyone else does. Which I think money is probably anybody. A great. Huh?
They just want to make that money from anyone.
Right. Well, I think this is a great marketing move, because if no one else is taking ghouls in, then the ghouls have to go there, right? Why? It seems silly to not let ghouls come to your establishment.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about the gourmands.
Yeah.
Next time.
So ghouls are welcome, and that's fun. So you're gonna encounter all sorts of people, both in terms of who they have employed and who you might encounter enjoying the establishment. As we mentioned before, this place leans heavily into its name, and so this is a very sinful place. And unlike other casinos where you walk in and they try to come off as a little less scandalous, a little more classy, right? A little ritzy even. Gomorrah is a very dark place, and you're likely to walk around and encounter beds with silk sheets and scantily clad women and all sorts of alcohol and chems, and of course you can gamble. And in terms of gambling, you can play blackjack and roulette and slots, so that's pretty fun. And you can earn prizes, right? And so you can get things like Brahmin steak or chems or alcohol, or if you really are doing great, if you're having a good night, you can get some armor. So very exciting, very fun. And then I have one last fun fact to wrap this all up. The music used in Gomorrah was originally used in Fallout 2. Ta-da! I think the name of it's like Serenity or something is the name of the song. I didn't write it down, so I could be making that up.
Okay.
But I think it's called Serenity, and it's a song that was in Fallout 2, and they reused it for Gomorrah. So pretty neat.
Yeah, this is something that happens a lot in New Vegas. They'll reuse some of the music that they originally used in the first 2 games because they had access to those files, and I guess the rights to still use those. So pretty cool stuff. Yeah, this is probably the casino that relates the most to old Las Vegas. You know, it's got that shady kind of actual old casino style to it. So I don't know. What do you think? Would you go there?
Just for funsies, you know, for kicks and giggles.
Yeah. It's definitely got that shady vibe. It's
once.
Yeah.
Just to say you did, just to see, just, you know. For funsies.
Funsies. Yeah, funsies.
Don't do anything to get yourself murdered.
Yeah, I said the gourmands earlier. I meant the White Glove Society, but you guys know what I meant.
Do the gourmands? That's something else.
The gourmand is the restaurant.
We talked about them already.
The gourmands. There's the other group that we similar. Anyway, everything just starts to blend together. You guys try hosting a lore podcast. All the information squishes together.
Oh
eventually.
My goodness.
Don't at me about that.
Don't at me.
Don't at me. Yeah. You know, there's so much more information we could go into in future episodes about some of the specific characters, but I think that some of that stuff is more character analysis focused than we really need to go into on this episode. How do you feel about the layout of the casino? It's not the most attractive.
It's like 4 floors, right?
It's like 4. Yeah, it's not particularly large. I mean, it's kind of. So I find this casino to be the most maze-like. It's not particularly pleasant to walk around in. There's kind of
That's true.
Kind of hallway-esque, lots of hallways. There's the areas with like the dance clubs and things are not particularly attractive. The outside areas have like these like the courtyard has
tents,
like these weird tents and plants.
There's tents,
but it's not, it's not like it's got like nice plants or I don't know, like water.
People aren't going there to be visually impressed by the scenery.
They're not, but it doesn't,
at least not that scenery.
Yeah,
it's not the scenery in focus.
Right. There's the Zora Club, which is like the dance club, which is kind of scummy, but I don't know. It's got like the old carpet, the old, what looks like 1960s like carpet with like the big squares in like reds and yellows and orange colors. There isn't a whole lot of upkeep going on, but it makes sense for this being that kind of club, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Omertas take it over and they just kind of want to make as much money as they can with the least amount of upkeep. And that's what's going on here. The White Glove Society, you walk into that place and maybe we'll talk about them on the next one. Like, that's some fancy stuff. Like, you go in there and it's a very fancy place. This place is like, it's about as cheap as it gets. Like, this is, I don't know if anybody listening to this has been to Las Vegas recently, but there is a significant difference between like the modern casinos, like the big modern casinos, the new ones that are out there, the really nice ones, the ones that are the big places you go to on the strip, and the older ones that are kind of off strip, the ones that have been around for 40, 50 years, that are they just haven't been kept up, and they look like they're frozen in time. There's a few of these casinos that are still out there that look like you're in a time warp. They look kind of like you're walking into the 1970s, and that's how this casino feels to me. It feels like a time warp. Even though we're in a Fallout game, it still feels like everything in Fallout feels sort of like a time warp, but even for this, it feels like a time warp. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the sense I get walking through here. It's also just very maze-like. You never quite know when you're walking through a door where you're going. I always felt like this was a little bit of a kind of, you just are hoping you're going to the right door, get to the right place. Anyway, that's my sense of it. That's kind of my, I don't know. It was one of those places I eventually, and there's a reason why I would just get to a certain point in playthroughs where I would just show up and kill everybody, because I was just like, I'm just going to murder these guys because they're scumbags. Just kill them all, move on to something else.
It's one way to, finish a quest.
Yeah, it's one way to wrap it up. So anyway, speaking of wrapping it up, Lainey, got anything else going on? Anything else you want to share? Ways people can get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me pretty much anywhere. Twitter, Discord, Instagram. What else? Other things. I'm pretty sure I have a Facebook page. News Pandora. Come say hi.
Pretty sure I have a Facebook page. As it becomes less and less relevant to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say I update it very much ever, but
yeah,
it exists.
Yeah, I've actually been doing more putting things on multiple social media platforms. I've been trying to edit some more videos on places like TikTok and Instagram, and share my fun little videos on places like that for people to find them. Also, with all the QuakeCon stuff going on recently, I got to be part of the Apocalypse Squares game that showed, what was that? 2 days ago. Holy crap. Time doesn't work very well anymore. Yesterday, I think it was last night, it showed, and then this morning was the Elder Scrolls Lorecast quiz show, where I got to quiz Lotus of Doom and Aramithius, and if you didn't catch that, I'm going to put that up on my YouTube channel, and it was super fun. It was a very, very close game. I will not spoil who won. Please don't spoil it in chat if you're watching live. Go check that out if you didn't catch it, and I will also be putting that up on the feed, the podcast feed, so if you just want to listen to it, you can listen to it as well. I would love for you to play along too and see if you can get more points than either of them got, because you might be able to beat them. So that was a lot of fun. Got a lot of fun stuff going on. Also, there's just a bunch of great shows happening right now on the network, so go check out the different shows on robotsradio.net. lots of fun stuff. And that's it for this week. We will be getting into some more of the different gangs on the New Vegas Strip and the different casinos coming up. We've got one more episode before the chat episode with our Patreons, and that will be again on the 31st. So we look forward to chatting with all of you guys on that episode, and we'll see you again next week. We're still trying to figure out a regular time for these. Chances are it'll probably be either Thursday afternoons or Friday afternoons. Most likely it seems like it'll be Friday afternoons, because that seems to be about the schedule. So 4 or 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon, probably right about this time frame next week. And we'll see you again next week. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and tune into some more QuakeCon stuff. Lots of cool stuff going on with that. So thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye, everyone. To plug into everything else we're doing, check out robotsradio.net. Also, look up the Robots Radio YouTube for videos about Fallout and other things. And check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/robotsradio.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.